is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's do this, surfers. Good morning from paradise. My name's Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick, the Crypto Hitman, and it is Friday, April 10th. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show for you guys today. CPI numbers are in. A little hotter than a little below expectations. Big print, but below expectations. But we are going to read the tea leaves and analyze the data. It's actually less bearish than you guys might think. So we'll get into CPI for you today. Other big news. Iran seems to be collecting Strait of Hormuz shipping fares, shipping tolls in Bitcoin. Is this the start of the Bitcoin era? Is this the beginning of the replacement for the petrodollar? Or now are we now looking at the petro Bitcoin? This is actually big news if it's true, and we'll see where it goes. But we'll cover that story and a lot of other good stuff today. Apologies in advance. I am under the weather. I am not feeling great, but here for you guys. We were off yesterday, so we're back with another show. How are you doing here, Nick? Have you been following the news, and have you been following the Bitcoin price?
Yeah, things are looking pretty good. 72,000 here today. Last time we were on the show, we were right around the same. 71,600, I think, is what we were at, because we didn't go live yesterday. We skipped that one because it was a red day. We skipped it. And what do you know? We're on here today. We got the Paradise Pump back to $72,000 Bitcoin. And it is broken back above the moving averages. I'll show that here. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. Obviously, wanted to happen the first time around, but we're back above the moving averages. Good to see. RSI is high up here, but still not overbought. And you have the technometer at neutral, which does give you more headway to go higher. Again, we need to break above these level 76, but really the marks that we have had is this strong overhead resistance that Bitcoin is going to run into around $84,000 to $85,000. That is going to be a big level for Bitcoin. And if you break above 84 to 85, that is major overhead resistance. You're very close to that mental barrier of 100,000 and where FOMO begins. It seems like, holy cow, 72 to 84 seems like an eternity away. It's really not. It's, what, something like 15% from here, 10% from here. We know that Bitcoin, last time it had 6 months of red in a row, it came out ripping and roaring and did a 4x in the following 6 months. So will we do a 4x in 6 months here? I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it is. Maybe that's how we get to 244,000 by the end of the year. But it is very easy to have 5%, 10%, 15% months after such a long drawdown.
The strength of Bitcoin has continued to surprise me, probably surprised a lot of people. Particularly those who were thinking it's going to 40K because, you know, it's a 4-year cycle's a thing and it's the bear market. Quite the opposite seems to be happening. Even in the face of all the Iran war FUD, gas prices high as they've been in like 5 years, inflation skyrocketing now as a result of that, a lot of uncertainty around the world. Here comes Bitcoin, outperforming every other major asset class. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm feeling good about Bitcoin's price. We'll see how things play out over the next week or two with these negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. But, you know, if you're into Bitcoin, if you're a Bitcoin maxi like we are here on this channel, you should be pleasantly surprised to see Bitcoin's strength in the face of all this global uncertainty.
And we got Ethereum back above $2,200, well above the moving averages, well above this white line that historically has just been a big median line for Ethereum. Continue to be a median line on this drawdown as well. Similar chart, you want to break above this 2,400, but really the major overhead resistance comes up here between like 2,700 to 2,800 on ETH. And what do you know, that's real close to that mental barrier of 3,000. So really, I just would love to see Bitcoin grind higher, Ethereum grind higher. And once you get above 84 to 85,000 on Bitcoin, 27 to 2,800 on Ethereum, I think that's where the real fun begins, the FOMO begins, and even the 4-year cyclists start utilizing some of the dry powder.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think ETH is the most undervalued crypto asset that's truly investable right now. If you have, you know, decent size bag you want to allocate into crypto, I just don't think there's a better investment than Ethereum at $2,000. So, yeah, I think it's continuing to outperform Bitcoin over the remainder of this cycle once we turn bullish again. My target is still $12,000 ETH as the cycle top for ETH. We'll see if we get there, but hell, even if it ends up 8, 10K, that's a clean 4 to 5x from here on an asset that's fully entrenched. Now with Wall Street, crypto, obviously the whole industry essentially runs on this blockchain. Essentially deflationary. You can stake it to earn rewards. I mean, it's really the whole kit and caboodle from an investment standpoint, and I just think it's a can't lose if you want to place a bet into crypto but not take on excessive risk. ETH is the way to go, man.
Yeah, and talking about the digital oil, here is real oil. We got AJ West in the house saying good morning. We got Dovakin saying good morning. Been away. Nice to finally be able to tune in again. Shout out to you. Welcome back. We got Miko Chapo saying good morning, everyone. And we have Rowan saying Todd showed an overbought technometer yesterday, though. It got me a bit worried. Does he also look at the 4-hour? Normally, he's looking at the technometer with Wyckoff on the daily chart. Also, yesterday, the overbought reading occurred when we had that capitulation, or not the capitulation, the euphoric wick that Bitcoin had yesterday above 73,000. So we are over $1,000 down off of that overbought technometer that he had yesterday as well. And we look at crude oil here. When we were live, we were down in the low 90s, 94 or so. You're having a release rally that hit 100 and got rejected at $98 currently. And we do have some articles about what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. Where do you think we go here for oil? My belief, looking at this chart, is we should be going down back into the high 80s. Probably 88 or 89 will be support. This is a common relief rally after a waterfall down. You see it here, waterfall down, relief rally down lower. Waterfall down, relief rally down lower. Even on the uptrend, it had these relief rallies. That's just the way the markets work. That's the way the markets trade. Nothing goes down forever. When you have cascading red candles, at some point you're going to get a bounce, even if the market wants to take it lower in the end.
Yeah, I think oil's going lower, and here's why. We have JD Vance flying out. He's already landed in Pakistan. We have the Iranian negotiating team meeting him along with the other Americans. And they're going to be sitting down tomorrow to begin negotiations in earnest. And look, to be fair, nobody knows what the outcome, the ultimate outcome of these negotiations will be. But if I was a betting man, I would bet that the recaps that both sides are going to give after tomorrow's sit down, both those recaps are going to be positive. Both sides, I think, want to project this, okay, we are negotiating, maybe we're not agreeing to everything, but we're getting closer. Both sides want to kind of get that messaging out there as far as I can tell. So my guess is that messaging gets out there tomorrow. Oh, negotiations going well. Both sides, okay, have something positive to say about the other side. Oil crashes further tomorrow. That's my guess. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that oil is, from a TA perspective, is going to go lower, hit that $88 mark as a starting point. Number two, it looks like the Hormuz is open, and the Hormuz is generating fees not only for USA, but also for Iran, so I think they're going to be happy as well. Now, how does this affect the markets besides just oil price? Is Iran rumored to want to be doing this in crypto and Bitcoin? Do you think there's any realistic nature behind this? Like, do you think this is actually what's happening? Or do you think this is just still speculation, but it is an interesting article nonetheless?
Yeah, as far as I can see, it's speculation, but then I have seen some posts as well talking about like big $1 million transactions coming in on Bitcoin starting like this morning, which maybe suggests, obviously we can see everything on chain, that maybe suggests that countries are in fact paying Iran with Bitcoin to transit the Strait of Hormuz. So, we'll see if it actually ends up being a legit thing. But, where my mind goes in reading this story, it's a reminder that Bitcoin is really the only remaining asset that's truly free to transact with. That can't be frozen, that can't be sanctioned, that's just outside of the world of politics and war, etc. Stable coins can be frozen like that. We know this. Obviously, US dollar too. I mean, they'll prevent you from they'll freeze your bank account. And forget about the Chinese yuan. That's about as free as a caged hamster. So there's only Bitcoin. There's only Bitcoin if you are like looking for a truly decentralized, free to transact currency. What other thing is it? I guess you could maybe some other, Monero or something like that. But in terms of like deep liquidity, acceptance around the world, what is there other than Bitcoin to do something like this? So I don't know. For the narrative, I think it's good for Bitcoin. If it happens and Iran starts collecting fees in Bitcoin, that's, I guess, good for it. Although it's a double-edged sword. If they turn around and sell it and then use that money to like build bombs up, it's like, oh shit, that didn't work out too well, did it? So we'll see how it plays out. But I don't know. It makes me think if you're looking for a non-sovereign, completely free currency, there's only Bitcoin, guys.
Yeah, and for me, even if nobody keeps the Bitcoin, it's still these countries that are using it to get their ships through have to buy some. They're going to have dust in wallets, but it's also creating liquidity and volume, even if for a short time. Even if you buy 281 Bitcoin and then the same day 281 is sold, it's still providing a shit ton of liquidity, which institutions like big traders like to see. It provides fees on the network and the chain. And, there is going to be some dust that's left in those wallets. Even you guys, when you're buying altcoins or whatever, you never use all of your Ethereum up. You always save a little bit of Ethereum for future transaction fees. All these countries, all these companies are going to do the same. So even if it's a one-for-one buy and then sell, there's going to be a little bit of leftover Bitcoin. You're creating a lot of volume and you're utilizing fees on the network as well. So I think overall it's a positive. The negative, like you were hinting at, is it is Iran doing it. Oh my gosh, they used to say it's for drug dealers. Now they're going to say it's for terrorists. Well, Iran was already a miner of Bitcoin for the past decade. You know what I mean? So they're already mining it. They're still mining it. That's the whole thing about it being a free decentralized currency. Anybody can mine it. Anybody can use it. And then there's transparency on chain of where those funds are going. So I don't think that Trump's going to turn his back on Bitcoin or United States' support of Bitcoin because of this. And I think that the United States, the three-letter agencies, CIA, FBI, all of them, probably don't mind it because now we know how to track Bitcoin, and it's easier to track Bitcoin transactions than it is to track cash transactions.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I don't think the U.S. is going to come out and say something negative about Bitcoin because of this. I actually don't even know if it's going to happen for very long. I mean, one of the big, let's say, negotiating points on the U.S. side is, and by the way, a lot of countries are coming to our around to our position on this, is that Iran can't turn the Strait of Hormuz into like a toll booth. That's not how any of these choke points, waterway choke points around the world, that's not how this works, folks. Look at the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal. It's not like, oh, Panama's charging $2 million. Like, that's not how it works. Maybe they charge a little bit of fees to maintain the infrastructure, but they're not like extorting companies whose ships want to go through the Panama Canal. So freedom to roam the seas. I mean, that's been one of our calling cards. If you look back in history, like we went to war with various pirates back in like the 1800s because pirates were impeding, the ship's ability to transport freely across the seas. Like, we're not going to mess around. And by the way, there's about 10 countries that also don't want this to happen. So I don't know how long Iran's going to get away with like this toll booth thing. Maybe it ends up being maybe it ends up there. It's just a minor toll. But right now they're talking about like insane amount of money being collected every day. I don't see this flying for too long. But it's very interesting, man. Collected it in Bitcoin. Maybe that's why we're at 73K last night. Maybe China decided to buy like $500 million of Bitcoin to pay off Iran to get their ships through.
There you go. Dovakin said, outside national security items, get the U.S. government on blockchain. Let's track the fraud easier. Yeah, that'd be nice. That would make too much sense. Why can't voting be on blockchain? Everybody has a public ID. Each public ID can only vote one time in the designated location for that public ID. It's really simple to do. Then you would have no fake voting, no double voting, and everybody could do it from home if they wanted to with that public ID. But I don't know. Who am I? Makes too much sense. The government doesn't like those things when it makes too much sense. They lose their power.
Yeah, the Dems will never go for that. They don't want to make. They don't want to limit the ability for immigrants and stuff to vote. So it is what it is, guys. We got a lot of problems in the world. Fraud is one of them. Iran's another one. But all these doomers out there, guys, we're going to get through this. We're actually even going to get through the November elections. I think Republicans are going to win those elections despite everything, because I think Trump is going to end the war. The economy is going to rebound. Inflation is going to go down. Fed's going to cut rates. Markets up. I think it's all going to work out, guys. And yet no one on Twitter is giving it even a remote possibility of this thing working out in the end. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just a few days ago or last week, the big FUD was the quantum resistance of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and oh my gosh, we're doom and gloom. But this is a repeated FUD. Just like the Tether FUD, just like the China ban FUD, each and every time it happens, it has less of an impact. Bitcoin did drop, I think, about $2,000 in the face of this FUD, and now it has bounced back and gone higher than when the FUD began. You've had people coming out and saying they're working to make Bitcoin quantum resistant, people like Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. You have CZ from Binance talking about it for BNB chain and the BNB asset. And you have other, Google, for example, looking at ways to protect Bitcoin and other assets from quantum computing. We don't need to spend much time on this other than just saying, see, told you so. Hopefully you didn't sell that FUD. It was a short $2,000 down, and now we are a couple $1,000 higher than when the FUD began.
Yeah, I mean, the notion that the Bitcoin devs were going to do nothing about quantum fears was completely illogical, nonsensical, was just retarded, okay, to use the new Gen Z term. That in my day, we weren't allowed to say that, by the way. But now we can say retarded again freely, and we will say retarded. Because if you sold Bitcoin because of quantum FUD, you are retarded. Okay? They were never just going to sit idly by, oh, well, you know, I have a couple billion on the network, but, you know, I'm a Bitcoin OG dev. I got a couple billion over there. I'm not going to do anything to fix it, though. Get out of here, guys. They were always going to fix it. They always knew how to fix it. They will fix it. Will it happen overnight? No, but the quantum fears were always a 10-year time horizon anyway. So now they're getting on top of it. It's almost like a PR campaign at this point. Okay, let's quash the FUD. Let's get those fears quelled. And now normies can buy back into Bitcoin because quantum isn't going to steal your coins.
We talked about 2 days ago, Morgan Stanley, near the bottom, launching their Bitcoin ETF. We talked about how their fees were cheaper than that of some of the BlackRock offerings and wondering how that would go. Well, Morgan Stanley says its spot Bitcoin ETF had the best first trading day of any ETF it has ever launched. Not out of any ETF in history, but any ETF Morgan Stanley has launched. Best trading day ever with Bitcoin down in the 70s, which is pretty impressive because there is not really any FOMO or demand for Bitcoin at these levels. And there's a lot of global macro uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty with the Fed. Bitcoin price is down, yet they launched a new ETF, and they are raving about it. What do you think they do next? They probably push it onto their customers and their clients through their vast array of tens of thousands of Morgan Stanley advisors.
Yeah, I think they have about 5,000 advisors. They have, I think, something like $5 trillion under management. Maybe it was $7 trillion. I
think it was 7.7 trillion or something
money
like that.
that they're managing for everyone. And you got to understand how these financial advisors work. I mean, the good ones anyway. They're not going to be telling you to buy the top. But they'll happily call you up when it's 70,000. Say, hey, Mr. Client, 6 months ago this asset was at $130,000. We think it can get back there within 12 months. Every other asset in your portfolio might do 10 to 12% over a year's time frame. That's like a great return in the stock market. If you're talking about, you know, the blue chips, Nvidia, you know, Metas, etc. 10 to 12% a year is like a great year in the stock market. We're telling you we think we can do 100% or damn near close to it in the next 12 months on Bitcoin at $70,000 now. The smart advisors are going to be calling their clients and telling them that. And apparently they already have, because it looks like this is their most successful ETF launch ever. I don't know, man. If you're selling Bitcoin now, got to get your head checked. And maybe you should talk to our boy Hexbull, because first of all, you did call a crash. You called the bottom at 60. I think we did hit 60. So 60, 65. And we're going to rally back to 90K. Maybe Hexbull works for Morgan Stanley and he's hitting up clients too to tell them to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, the other thing is when they run those numbers, the way that Bitcoin has even became a part of the portfolio, and 2 live shows ago, we broke down the actual numbers, which might astonish you. Because when I started telling you this would happen, when I still worked in institutional finance in 2017, 2018, I was saying, 1 to 3%, and then it was changing it to 1 to 5% to kind of match what they were doing with precious metals. Well, right now it's already 1 to like 8.8% for Bitcoin, and I think that trend continues, and it's because it is just the math. They're looking at what the delta it does on your portfolio. If you had 5% of Bitcoin, and what does it do for your performance over a 5-year, 10-year horizon? If you had 10% of Bitcoin, really, the best portfolio would have been 100% Bitcoin and nothing else.
That's
But
what I'm
realistically,
thinking.
they don't work off those numbers. But if they say a conservative double up in the next 12 months compared to the 10% target for the stock market, well, that's how they're going to be telling their clients to do 3, 5, 10% into Bitcoin and 1% into Ethereum, and it still makes sense for the portfolio, even for the most conservative investors.
Yeah, what's so interesting, actually, if you think about it, you run these numbers, and they're coming to the conclusion that Bitcoin's going to outperform everything that you got, but only put 10%. When I hear them say that, I'm like, oh, I guess I should get 100% Bitcoin. Based on what
We're a little
saying.
crazy. We have the ups and the downs, though. We have the glory days, and then we have the down doldrums. But it is what
No,
it is.
I know, and I'm like, my own portfolio is very well diversified, but I got to be honest with you guys. Like, I look at my stock portfolio, I don't know, every 6 months, and it's like I can't tell if it went up or down. It's like the price is static. At least Bitcoin gives you a little jolt. It makes you feel something. So yeah, if you get a call from your financial advisor, and he's like, yeah, you should put 10%. You should ask him, well, Mr. Advisor, based on what you told me, shouldn't I put 100%? And then see what he has to say.
Well, and we know Make America Great Again, the Chads of America are back, supporting Bitcoin, supporting freedom. Well, we have a Chadette that actually won in Japan, and she is changing things quickly over there. They have banned Sharia law. They are banning Islam over there. They are kicking out all the illegals. They are fortifying their culture, and they are now embracing Bitcoin. Breaking Japan's cabinet has just approved a bill reclassifying crypto from a payment method to a financial product. Japan is the world's 5th largest economy, and its regulatory clarity will remove uncertainty and boost confidence among investors. The bill also bans insider trading and requires annual disclosures, aiming to ensure market fairness and transparency. I need to go to Japan. I've been wanting to go to Japan for a long time. I hear it's a beautiful island. I want to see that culture over there because they're one of the few places in the world that has maintained their culture, and now they're going to try to step in and save it because they've been doing the same thing Europe and the United States has had and letting anybody come in there with any beliefs. And of course, Pokemon was made there. Big Pokemon fan. They got the Pokemon Park. But now they're going to be Bitcoiners. So let's get a Bitcoin bull run going, and I'll head over to Japan with some Bitcoin and buy some Pokemon cards.
Dude, yeah, I hear Japan's amazing. I have friends who've been out there numerous times. They love it. They're obsessed. The food is supposed to be incredible. Obviously, the sushi and the fresh fish, but also like other cuisine. Because the way that Japanese people, they're so exacting and precise and like detail oriented. So how whatever cuisine it is, they just crush it. But even shout out to Japan. Something interesting is happening in the world of politics around the world. Really, you're seeing two camps. I guess it's always been this way to some degree, but it's the left and the right. You know what I mean? And the left, anti-freedom, anti-crypto, pro-immigrant, pro-LGBT. Trans. Boys in the girls' locker room, all this stuff. And then you have everyone on the right, who's like, we want our own culture back. We, believe in economic freedom, lower taxes. And a part of that package is now pro-crypto and pro-Bitcoin. Around the world, all the right-wing governments are embracing crypto and blockchain. And so, I don't know. I mean, the way I look at it is, I think there is going to be and continue to be a major backlash against these far-left policies. Nobody likes high taxes. Almost nobody, anyway. No one who pays taxes likes them, anyway. I mean, just unabated immigration. You look around your neighborhood, you have no one that looks like you or sounds like you or has the same culture as you in a couple of years' time. That's a scary thing. I don't think people really like that either. So I think there's going to be a major backlash, shift towards the right, and all those governments are going to continue to embrace Bitcoin and crypto, just like the Prime Minister of Japan is doing now. So watch that trend, guys. And if you're a voter, remember to vote for Republicans or vote for the right, because the left is going to steal your money and steal your crypto.
So what here in the United States can help Bitcoin pump? Well, we did have some CPI data, and although it does show that inflation is back to 3.3%, according to the government, Trueflation has it up from 0.9% to like 1.43%, so still rising, but much lower than 3.3. It's still below the expectations of 3.4. The core CPI inflation is 2.6%, but still below the expectations of 2.7. CPI inflation is now up to the highest level since May of 2024 amid the Iran war, primarily due to oil prices on the rise. Fed rate cuts have been priced out for 2026. We've known this for a long time. The percentage chance of any kind of rate cut happening has been near zero, and actually went up about 3% when Trump tweeted that the Iran war might be coming to an end. I think it's good to see that inflation numbers are lower than the expectations on both the CPI and the core CPI, and Trueflation still has it about 1.5%. What do you think's going on here with inflation? Do you think Fed will cut rates? I think it's very hard for April, but I think there is a very good chance in June with the new Fed leader, with the Iran war ending, and with inflation still below expectations, even with oil above 100 a barrel.
Well, before I get into my take, I just want to point out that at the very top of the comments, there's a very handsome guy whose Twitter account, Crypto Amaru. Wow, putting out a nice analysis there.
Gotta
nice
like
counterpoint.
it. Who's that guy?
Yeah, who's that guy? He looks cool. But yeah, no, I'm just sick of the doomerism and the panicins and the Fed rate cuts. No chance. No chance. Really, Mr. Kobayashi? Zero chance? 0% chance that this war turns out halfway decently. 0% chance that we get a negotiated settlement. 0% chance that the Strait of Hormuz opens up. 0% chance that oil prices go down. 0% chance that inflation, which prior to the war was trending down, 0% chance of any of that happening. Really, Mr. Kobayashi, do you want to put money on it? I doubt he would. Because I think he knows in his heart of hearts that there's at least a 50% chance that this shit all works out just fine. 50% chance that Trump gets it right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. So I don't know. I just think, look, there's a lot of doomers and a lot of panicins. You could be right. This war could drag on, and oil, and it's a fucking disaster, and the straits closed forever, and oh my god, that could happen. I mean, I'm a little worried about it, but there's at least a 50% chance that this shit all works out, and the oil prices fall, and inflation falls, and we get two cuts, because that was what the dot plot was telling us before the war. The Fed governors, they were looking at two cuts this year. Then the war comes, and now people like Mr. Kobayashi are saying 0 chance of cuts. Make it make sense.
Well, and I think, ever since Trump tweeted about negotiations, nothing crazy has happened. So I think it's looking better and better by the day. And that's probably why Bitcoin price is going up and oil price is going down. The market is seeing it that way as well. You get another couple days, clarity around ships getting through Hormuz, what the fees are they paid in Bitcoin or not, and I think you continue to grind higher. And this is still a good bullet point. The fact that inflation on both marks is lower than expectations is what you want to see. The poly market actually has it up to a 9% chance of a cut for June, which is still very low, but that is up from 3% to 6% to now 9%. So people in the market can keep pricing that no cuts will happen. I love that, because then when the cuts do happen, prices will go higher rapidly for the assets that we own. I still think there is no way we don't get cuts. Just if you get a new Fed chair in May, if the war is over, and if inflation continues to trend down like it has been, yes, it's just perking up now, but again, that is based primarily off of oil. I think we'll be all right, because I think oil is going to trend back down into the 80s, then the 70s, and maybe even the 60s, once again, like we just were a couple months ago.
Remember when oil went negative during COVID?
Yeah,
it
went to like zero. That was crazy.
Paying people to store oil or something like that. But yeah, no, I just think if you actually read into this data a little bit more, because no one's reading into the data, but I read into the data, okay, prior to this show, and 75% of this CPI print was the result of increased oil prices. The remainder of it actually showed inflation continuing to go down. So it's temporary spike in inflation due to this temporary spike in oil. But if you look at a lot of this stuff in the core, you got to look at the core. That's actually not in a horrible place, okay? So stripping away the oil and stripping away the knock-on effects from higher oil prices, you actually see the trend continue to go down. So I don't know, man. It's a lot less bearish than people think. Could it get worse? Could the war drag on? Could the oil prices remain elevated? Sure, there's a chance of it. But again, I think everyone's just overreacting to the news of the day. Like, for example, yesterday, we told you this, or 2 days ago, we told you when there is a ceasefire in the Middle East, always for 1 to 2, maybe 3 days, rockets are still firing off. Okay? Happened if you followed the Hamas-Israel war. It happened if you follow any of those Israel wars. Ceasefire, a couple more days of rockets, and then both sides like, okay, now I'm done. Same shit happened yesterday. Israel attacks Hezbollah, bombs the Shah, Lebanon. Everyone's up in arms. I can't believe they did that. And then there was a ceasefire. My guess is today that will pretty much be done. Trump, despite everyone's beliefs that Netanyahu controls Trump, it's actually the other way around, guys. Trump controls Netanyahu. Okay, we hold the money, we hold the cards. Trump owns Netanyahu, and he can make him stop bombing Lebanon at any given moment in time. So my point is this. There was always going to be two little spits and spats, little bombs flying off for a couple days. Things will die down. Tomorrow we're going to get news that the negotiations are going well, and we'll see what happens thereafter.
Well, and what's happening right here, right now for the average American, the tax refund is up 11% from last year. This is part of the big, beautiful bill. So tax refunds, whatever you got last year, presumably you got 11% more to offset the inflation, plus put a little extra cash in your pocket. This doesn't affect me too much because everything we do is self-employed. Here at Crypto Paradise, I learn crypto, 1099 for annual roofing, all that's self-employed, so I usually always owe taxes. But I guess maybe I'll owe a little less taxes this year.
Well, I'm going to owe a lot less taxes because I barely made any money. Thanks, bear market. And also the Trump, tax refunds. I'm sure it's going to help a bit because my wife is a W-2 employee. But in any event, yeah, man, if you just think about like 11% doesn't sound like much on an individual basis. Maybe it's $1,000 or something that a person got back that they otherwise wouldn't have. But then you multiply that across 250 million Americans, we're looking at an insane amount of money that otherwise would have gone to the government, would have been wasted on fraud or military industrial complex or whatever the hell they spend their money on. Instead, it's in the pockets of law-abiding, tax-paying Americans, and we can only hope that they take some of that money and deposit it into the crypto casino to pump our bags.
That would be nice. That would be nice. That's the ideal goal. I know most of it probably goes to Walmart, but at least Walmart is a publicly traded stock, huh?
Well, this is I'm being facetious and trying to be funny, but how is it that the ISM is going to continue to go up, for example? It's people now spending, they got more money, they spend it. They'll turn around and spend it, and then that business made money. And then they can spend more. They can hire someone, and then that guy can go out and buy his wife a nice pair of shoes, and then that person got the tip, and then this is how the economy works, folks.
Right.
So we need some money back into the pockets of Americans. We haven't had that since COVID times. They've been sucking the money out. Now they're finally pushing it back in here. And we have had 3 months of above 50 ISM. My guess is that continues and leads to the golden age of crypto and investing.
Another thing that leads to the golden age is the biggest thing within crypto has been hacks. Hacks always can drain big companies, which hurts other assets, which hurts individuals, which scares people away from the markets altogether. The U.S. Treasury just announced a new program to protect crypto from hackers, the same cybersecurity given to traditional banks. The U.S. Treasury has officially rolled out a new program to protect crypto companies from hacks. Now, I'm not going to read all this. I don't really know how all of it works, but, you trust your bank with your money. Everybody's trying to hack those bank accounts, I'm sure. And now we have somebody within the government on our side to try to help some of these crypto companies. Now, why would you want to protect the crypto company itself? Well, when the company is running, it is keeping funds in the markets. It is able to get new retail into the markets, and it's able to protect your assets as well. Although we say not your keys, not your coins, a lot of your portfolio should be on MetaMask probably, or Ledger, or whatever it may be. We all still use Coinbase or Binance US or whatever it is from time to time. And it would be nice if some of these companies, some of these publicly traded exchanges, and some of the future products that are launched in crypto have an additional layer of privacy and security from North Korean hackers that are trying to steal all of our money.
Dude, fuck those North Korean hackers, for real. They stole that $250 million from Drift, which just broke. That news broke a few days ago. So this is a big problem. I mean, we've known about how big of a problem hacks have been in crypto for the past 10 years. It feels like every year, if you were to add up all the hacks that happen in every given year, you're probably looking at like 10 billion a year minimum. It's just enormous sums of
Imagine
money.
if all that stayed in the market.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it seems like half of it's going to build up like North Korea's like nuclear ambitions. So it's just madness. But yeah, no, dude, I love to see this. And to everyone who's just poo-pooing Trump and the administration, I can't believe they do this, that, the other thing. Do you think Biden administration would ever, in a million years, extend a hand like this, a helping hand to crypto, and say, okay, we're going to help you guys out with hacks? No way. They were trying to sue and legislate crypto out of existence. And now complete 180, full embrace from the government. Now they're helping us out with our hacking problem. I mean, this is awesome news, guys. Stop selling your crypto. Wake up to the bigger picture and understand that we're about to enter the golden age of crypto, folks.
And the last thing we want to talk about here was the Ethereum and its staking ratio. Now, if you follow us, this shouldn't be a surprise because we've been all over BMNR, SharpLink Gaming, Coinbase, and all these other companies that are accumulating Ethereum and deciding to finally stake it. Even the Ethereum Foundation itself has listened to us here on Crypto Paradise and staked like 46 million more worth of ETH to earn some of that sweet passive income to pay their overpriced devs. Ethereum staking ratio is at an all-time high, with the network now secured by 85 billion worth of staked ETH here at a $2,000 ETH price as well. Imagine if that doubles, like quickly goes to 160, 170, $200 billion worth of ETH staked per the token terminal data center here. Now, this isn't surprising because why? Chads are accumulating Ethereum, staking Ethereum, and compounding their staking rewards. At least Bitmine is, SharpLink Gaming is, Coinbase is, and we'll see what Ethereum Foundation wants to do. But my gosh, this is the highest ratio of Ethereum staked in the history. The biggest number of Chads coming on board to continue to accumulate Ethereum in history. And that price is still sitting 50% lower than its all-time high. I think this shows you the undervaluedness of Ethereum, why we believe that Ethereum continues to outperform Bitcoin, and why we believe this cycle is not over. A 5-figure Ethereum is due, and we'll see how high it can go once it breaks that $10,000 milestone.
Dude, it's insane that ETH is still around $2,000. Like, that's so crazy. But yeah, this is super bullish. I think this number is going to keep on ticking up. I mean, Bitminer's not done accumulating. I think they have about 4%. They want to get to 5% of the supply. That's a lot more ETH they need to buy. SharpLink Gaming, I don't know how much more they need to buy, but I think a lot, and they're staking their entire bag. You mentioned the Ethereum Foundation. They're finally staking. Although I did see the other day they're selling some too. Like, what? Just stop selling, especially these prices. And then you have the new BlackRock ETF, ETHB, which all the buyers there, their ETH is automatically being staked on their behalf. I mean, this number is going higher, don't you think?
Yeah,
I wonder how high it ultimately hits.
I don't think that ETHB has been out for 45 days yet. I could be wrong because time flies. But remember, there's a 45-day stake wait period. So all those people who have bought ETHB, BlackRock is still probably in the process of getting a lot of that Ethereum staked on the network. So I think we're going to see a spike here, like you just mentioned.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it hasn't been 45 days, I don't think. Who knows? Yeah, time does fly. But yeah, man, ETH at $2,000. It's just funny. Like, I remember when ETH hit $2,000 6 years ago. And I was so happy it hit 2,000. I couldn't believe it. In 2020. In the beginning of 2020, it finally hit 2,000. I couldn't believe my eyes, right? Because I had been buying ETH at like $90. So, I mean, it was just an incredible time. And it's still there 6 years later. I mean, obviously, I know we've had moments of outperformance, and it hit $5,000 for about 5 minutes. So I get all that. But, yeah, I was retired. I retired for 5 minutes, actually. When ETH hit 5,000, I retired. And then I had to come out of retirement 5 minutes later when it dumped. So it is what it is. Is what it is. I do want to just point out this great comment here from Dovikin. We were talking about North Korean scammers. You see that video on how to detect if you're interviewing a North Korean tech person? Pretty hilarious. I actually did see it. Nick, I don't know if you saw it. Do you have any guesses on what you do if you think you're like in a scam interview with like a North Korean dev?
What do you do? I didn't see it.
You ask them to talk shit about the regime.
Oh.
You're like, all right, just say that, the North Korean regime sucks and is a piece of shit and they fucking blow. And like the people can't say it. because if you say that, you can be imprisoned. So it's kind of insane. So if you're ever interviewing someone in crypto,
saying
just
like
I
we
think
have
here
like
it
a lot
is.
of imposter
I don't know if you guys
candidates,
can hear this or not. But
particularly North Koreans, like posing as like people that they're not. So one of the tests that we do is trying to get them to say something like Kim Jong Un is a fat ugly pig. Could you say that for me?
신장?
So no, Kim Jong Un, the leader of North Korea.
Yeah, I I should say like that.
if you guys can hear that, it's pretty
Yeah.
funny. It's pretty
Yeah.
much
He ain't gonna say it.
cannot, will not,
Trust me, he ain't-
can't say that.
he ain't
The
gonna
thing is,
say
he
it.
can't
He
even
never
say
went
because
up in
he's
prison.
in North Korea, he's stuck in there, and he will just be killed probably immediately.
Dude, it's insane. It's really insane. Yeah, I mean, the drift thing, when you read more about it, also crazy. Like, they had North Korean operatives going to conferences, posing as like a hedge fund or whatever, sort of building up the trust between them and drift. I mean, it's really horrible because people, I mean, we know people lost money in that. So it's horrible. But yeah, you can never be too cautious. Don't trust anyone. By the way, if you guys were wondering if we are North Korean operatives, I am glad to say Kim Jong Un is a fat, ugly piece of shit. I can say that because I'm American.
Drift should have watched that video before it happened, I guess, huh?
So great to be living in the free world, isn't it, Nick?
Let's
See
look
where the
quickly
hell-
at some of these altcoins. PoolX token still floating around 11 cents, so up a penny from 10 cents to 11. We did have a spike overnight up to 12.6 cents. I think PoolX is still obviously greatly undervalued, but people, it's like, who's buying right here? I think it's just people seeing the opportunities that are coming with Bullshot and some of these other ones coming around the corner, Smart Sentinels, and they're like, for 250 PoolX, which is virtually nothing, I'm going to get an opportunity to invest in some of these early projects that might be launching with the bear now over, with Ethereum starting to grind higher. This is where you can get those quick early gains before anybody is really looking at pre-sales. You get in some of these that have relatively good vesting. Maybe it doesn't go 100x right at launch, but maybe in 30 days, 45 days, 90 days, you're looking at 100x as people start to FOMO and chase into the bullish green candles of the overall crypto market.
Oh, dude, it just takes one pre-sale. Like if if Bullshot launches, and I think that one has a chance of doing really well. It's going on all the big exchanges, guys. It has a legit product that's already making a bunch of money. It's basically the pump fund of BNB chain. And we look closely at the token economics. We know the market maker. We know the team. And if you look at the token economics closely, you'll see how little supply is out there in the beginning. There's no one to sell any tokens. You can't sell tokens. And there's no tokens to sell at the launch, right? Because vesting, it's a long vesting period, right? So that one could do explosively well. And then, dude, it just takes one. I remember back in the day we were doing pre-sales, previous companies and so on. It literally takes one, and people start flooding and FOMOing into your coin. And the thing you have to understand about pools and the launch pad landscape as a whole. I think about 90% of the launch pads that existed and were popular and kind of came up in that same cohort as pools did, they're dead and gone. Their businesses failed. They didn't know how to manage the bear market. Whereas pools, because we restructured things, we basically had to cut costs dramatically, we're able to keep that business going, and not only going, but super active and finding great projects to work with and doing marketing and, generating some revenue, bringing on projects to go to the launch pad. So if you've been in the launch pad game and you're looking around, you're like, shit, Decubate closed down, Seedify's closing down, ChainGPT hasn't done a launch in a year, and here's pools like out here going ham. I don't know. Seems like a pretty good bet at the $500,000 market cap on the PoolX token.
I think that's a good buy. I think you get 250 PoolX, you get 200,000 Surf, and you get involved in these opportunities as the market turns around, and you're in assets that have an opportunity to go way higher. Obviously, we know Surf is tied to the liquidity bonding aspect of Pulse Chain, so that has the extra perk there. PoolX has the perk of, like you said, there isn't many launch pads around, so if the season comes back, PoolX token will be a big beneficiary. But here's Bullshot, raised $7.5 million already, because they're still going to launch on the Pool's public sale round to try to raise another couple $1,000. We'll see what that turns into. But look at the names here: Animoca Brands, AWS, V1 Ventures, RG Ventures, Summit Gold Limited. You got Becker Ventures, big KOL. You think he's going to talk about Bullshot? Probably. But it is crazy to see that our company, Crypto Paradise, and then Pools Venture, which we're helping out, I won't say that's our company, on this same cap table with all these big names. Even though the bear market is here, nobody else wants to take the risk. We're finding a way to scrounge up some capital, scrounge up the community's capital, and try to take advantage of an opportunity and try to get on the right side of the next market cycle here in crypto. That's how we made it in the past. You don't got to win on everything. You just got to hit big here and there.
Yeah, I mean, look, we played around the pump fund trenches. We've tried to do the meme coin thing. It's just so hard, and I don't like when investing is too hard. I like easy investing. Okay, find a solid project that has a real platform, generating revenue, real traction. That's not hard, that's not hard to ascertain if that's a legit thing. Bullshot is that. And, working with them closely, securing an allocation of the pre-sale, and letting them cook, and letting them do, invest and let them grow and do their thing and get on the big centralized exchanges and, hopefully grow into a top, 200 coin from, the initial, FDV. I think the FDV on the round that we're getting into is 40 million, and it's launching at 120. So that just tells you, there's your 3x out the gate before the coin even is listed, and then let's see how much higher it can go over the next 6, 12 months. So I like that kind of investing. That's how I've done well in crypto in the past. Trying to ape $50 or $100 or $500 into memes, I've always lost it all. And not to say that all pre-sales go well, but feeling bullish on Bullshot. We got another one coming on Pools actually too, which is sort of the opposite of a Bullshot in the sense of Bullshot's got like long vesting, high FDVs, big tier 1 exchanges. It's going in that direction. Then we have one called Cider, which we haven't announced yet, but it's coming soon. You guys are hearing this first. They built like an AI trading platform, uses like high frequency trading. Claude bot, etc., can like just make you a little scalp you a little bit of money every day. They're launching 100%. You get 100% of your tokens instantly at TGE, and the FDV is $400,000, not 40 million or 120 million ever. So completely opposite kind of project. Get all your tokens at launch. Super low FDV, still a solid product. Good team, Australian-based team. I like the guys a lot. So you want to go, if you want to go mess around and invest in projects that are going on the big exchanges, you can do that. If you want to go more DGen, you can do that. Meanwhile, every other pad out there is doing nothing.
And let's pull up another altcoin because we have only given a few trades on this thing, but they have been massive home runs. And I think we're getting close to another massive home run. This is the Pengu token. Yes, one of the largest crypto IPs in existence. Never had a chance to do its run. It wanted Q4 to be massive for it. Couldn't really do it, well, because the market didn't dictate that as a reality. As you can see here, we had to sell all the way up here. That's because, yes, we were part of the airdrop. We sold nearly the exact top, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited some more. And we were live in the show saying, hey, anywhere around this green line, take a swing on Pengu. I think you're going to do all right. And then a few months later, you did all right. We had to sell up here near the exact top. And then we waited some more. And what do you know? When we had that, remember this capitulation event? What was this, the liquidity crisis? And we were live and we bought Pengu, and then we immediately sold it a couple days later for like 100% gains. And we've done nothing with Pengu since. But look where Pengu's at. It has retraced that entire 10-10 liquidity crisis, that entire capitulation wick, and now it is sitting down at those levels. I'm not going to give an official buy here right now, right here, because you are a little higher on the RSI and you're neutral on the tech. But you are coming into the moving averages just like we saw with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I do believe in Pengu's IP. And I do believe in the founders of Pengu making something happen when alt season comes back. So you heard it here first. We rarely trade it, but we're going to trade Pengu at some point. I'm going to give you an entry down at these levels because I think it will be a runner in the large cap ecosystem and be one of the big runners for the meme coin ecosystem that drives altcoins higher once again.
Yeah, I think undervalued OG memes with genuine communities, genuine narrative. In the place of Pengu, they got a whole brand. They got like toys and they got like all shit kinds of stuff going on. This is not even a meme anymore. This is like a whole thing. That's a better, if I'm going to put $1,000 somewhere, it's very hard for me to say, all right, I'm going to get into a brand new pump fund coin, which 99.9% chance is going to be rugged in less than 24-hour period, versus I'm going to put $1,000 into a likes of a Pengu, and let it ride a bit. I mean, you gotta let it cook. You gotta give it some time and the overall market to recover. But you could be looking at easily like 3, 4, 5x returns in the next 6 months. I know that doesn't sound exciting because people want 4 or 5x in the next 6 hours, but I'd rather wait 6 months to make some money rather than, wait no time at all to lose it all.
Yeah, I mean, just pre-liquidity crisis, you're looking at between 300 to 400%, which would be a 4 to 5x, just to get back to the pre-liquidity crisis levels, which isn't even all-time highs for Pengu. And Pengu, remember, still hasn't had an alt season, and really, this was its first run-up after its airdrop capitulation. Things were looking good. You had Bitcoin going to new all-time highs. Ethereum hit 4,800. No alt season, though, and it still achieved those levels. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Like you said, you were just randomly saying 2, 3, 4x. That's about what you're looking at. You're looking at a 4 to 5x just to get to the pre-liquidity crisis levels off this level currently. And if I wait a little bit, say it gets rejected the moving average, we have another red day in Bitcoin, you could probably pick it up for another 5 or 10% cheaper, which turns it into 386% gains instead of 300. So this is just one to keep an eye on. One, if you watch Crypto Paradise or if you're in the Surf DAO or Learn Crypto Patreon, I'm probably going to give an official buy on this at some point. Again, we've only traded it like 3 times in its history, but we've picked near tops. We bought and made quick scalp trades, and now I just think it's washed out. It's all the way back down to the lows of the liquidity crisis capitulation wick. And to me, that is a major support area, and this is an asset that I believe will rise with the tide and outperform even the likes of some of the other big dogs as a top 100 asset.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of OG memes like this in this kind of category of established, not going to rug you, but bottomed out and has a lot of upside in front of it, right? And you could start thinking about like the big guys like a Pepe, a Shib, a Doge, or whatever. That's within that category. Or you can kind of work down the the risk curve, so to speak, and find some lower. Maybe they're at 100 million market cap, but they're still solid and the community's still there. So I don't know. I just think like memes, first of all, not going anywhere. They will make an absolute comeback when the market is ready for it. But for my money, better to find established undervalued memes than trying to ape into because dude, there's 10,000 pump fund coins that get created a day. Like, how do you even win in that? It's impossible.
Well, stocks V-shaped recovery continues. Nasdaq up 0.5%. Dow up, S&P up, and that's why we're seeing Bitcoin and ETH also up. Oil down below $98. It was 98 and change when we started the show. We say lower, and well, it's $1 lower per barrel. Nothing too exciting, but again, I think the trend is our friend, and we go back into that $88 range for oil. Then you'll have all the longers exiting those long positions because it broke below $90, and we'll see how low oil can go. Obviously, the inflation numbers, we beat expectations. But like you said, you did the math. It's like 75% of it is driven by oil prices in March. And in March, we hit a high of $120 per barrel of oil. And now we're down to 97 with Nickstradamus himself saying $88 is the next target for oil. So as long as there's no bombs, as long as the war doesn't continue, trend is your friend. The magnets are there, and oil has another $9 per barrel to go.
Well, the market's telling you what they think is going to happen with the Iran war. The market's telling you they think it's over. It already is over. It's going to be over. The negotiations are going to work out, right? I mean, the S&P and the NASDAQ have been up bigly the last 4 or 5 days in a row and continues. So, you can follow the doomers and the panicans and it's all going to hell in a handbasket and look at inflation and look at, what's the Fed going to do? And, Trump is horrible. He's a chicken. Or you could wake up to the fact that you're probably not smarter than the aggregate of the market. And the market thinks this thing is done. So,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Look at all these green circles that we put on here. They're all marked bottoms of V-shaped recoveries. Green circle, bottom of V-shaped recovery. Green circle, bottom of V-shaped recovery. Green circle, bottom of V-shaped recovery. Here you had a double green, so it didn't pick the exact bottom. It picked the short-term low, and then you had a bullish divergence down here. This was the tariff FUD and another green circle at the exact low when Tim Waltz was saying that Tesla was going to zero and bragging about how far it was down. Well, that was the exact low, and look what we did. New all-time highs. And what do you see here? This would be the same, oversold RSI. This would be a green circle, and a V-shaped recovery is underway. Now, we did gap higher, which means at some point you probably fill this gap here on the NASDAQ, maybe to 24,300. But, man, we are just continuing higher, back above both the 200 and 300 moving average, off an oversold RSI. And I mean, wow, that is a quick turnaround, considering the war is just more of a speculation on being over at this point, as we are in this 2-week buffer zone window. We'll see what the results are, but the market believes that this window turns into a reality sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction is tomorrow evening, U.S. time, you are going to see J.D. Vance and the negotiating team emerge from those negotiations and say, we've made progress. Things are looking good. We don't know what's going to happen. We're not sure if we can fully trust the Iranians. But right now, as of where things stand, we're making progress, folks. Oil's going to crash more. Crypto's going to pump more. There's a reason they sent J.D. Vance and not Marco Rubio, guys. Think about it. Why is it that the Secretary of State, who is the most well-versed in foreign affairs and has done a bang-up job so far, I mean, Marco Rubio's been killing it. I think he may be even a front runner for the next president of the United States. He's done that well. Why is it that he's not leading these negotiations? Because he's more of a hawk. Because he's more of a tough liner. And I think J.D. Vance is more likely to just be a little easier, a little softer to negotiate with, because he's much more of a dove and doesn't want the war.
I would agree with that sentiment as well. Even when J.D. Vance is saying the same thing as Trump, it does come off as a quieter, nicer, more workable tone than that of Rubio or Trump.
Yeah. Well, J.D. Vance is a lawyer. You know, he's a little good at the lawyer speak. He's a great politician. I just think, genuine question, why would you not send Rubio? Like, Rubio is the obvious choice. He's the Secretary of State. His job is to handle foreign affairs. And he's good at it. Why would you send J.D. Vance, who's been sidelined for a couple months on this Iran stuff? Now he's leading negotiations? Huh.
Calculated. Everything's calculated over there.
No, Trump's dumb. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He became a billionaire on accident. He became president of the United States on accident. I mean, at some point, guys, you got to give the man his flowers. I was not always a Trump fan myself. I really just came around to him in Trump 2.0. But you start to pay attention and follow what's happening, and you get a little bit more tuned in, and you have to set aside your previous biases, which is not easy. And you start to realize, wait, this guy actually knows what the hell he's doing.
I think that was a lot of people, too. I remember when I worked in institutional finance still in 2016, when it was Hillary versus Trump, there was like 2 of us in the whole office that were openly like, we're all watching this stuff, seeing what's going on. And I was one of the 2 people that were open like, I'm voting Trump over Clinton. Fuck it. Nobody else wanted to say it. Half the people did vote Clinton, but then when Trump won, all of a sudden half of the office is like, oh my God, he did it. Can you believe it? It's like, oh, so they were there in 2016 was the silent wave. There was half the people who were voting for Trump, but only a small fraction of them are willing to say, fuck it, YOLO, I'm voting for Trump. And then he magically won. I remember watching a beer with my roommate at the time, and we're just watching state by state going. We're like, holy shit, he's actually going to do it. Just because in the real world, nobody was admitting that they were voting for Trump, and then somehow he took down the oligarch herself, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, Trump 1.0, people were very reluctant to embrace him. I mean, he was like the TV star who had just, you got to remember like a couple of months before that election that, that video of him saying you can grab him by the pussy came out, like all these things. So it's like, it was very hard, especially in like the liberal bubble I live out. I live outside of New York. Like no one was coming out in favor of Trump where I'm at. But slowly, okay, so Trump 1.0 goes by. I think more people came around like, oh, actually did a pretty decent job. World didn't come to an end. He didn't like finish off democracy as we know it. Like, okay, so it wasn't too terrible. Then Biden happened, and I'll be the first to admit that a lot of the stuff under Biden wasn't completely his fault. Like the inflation was more the Fed printing all that money, but he mismanaged a lot of stuff. So anyway, Trump wins. Now I think much more people are, and having seen how effective he's been as Trump 2.0, he's been a lot more assertive. And I think he's actually done what he said he was going to do, whereas in Trump 1.0, he was hamstrung a little bit. Like he wanted to do certain things, but there was talk back from it. Now he's like going hard on the immigration stuff. Foreign policy, he's being an absolute Chad. I mean, who picks up a dictator overnight and whisks him and imprisons him in a 24-hour time frame? I mean, it's crazy stuff. And then we finally faced our great foe in Iran, and people can say it's good or bad, whatever. But no other president had the balls to do it. So I don't know, man. Trump 2.0, he's killing it, and even us former liberals have to recognize it.
And it's only been a little over a year. So let's hope the next 3 years are good. Let's see what happens. Don't want to make this all political, but I think currently in the current structure here in the United States, the right is what is best for America, but is what is also best for the markets and best for global peace and economy, in my opinion. So, that's the trend that I like, and I think the world is waking up to that too. Because look around: El Salvador, Chad; Argentina, who won? A Chad; Japan, who won? A Chadette; Italy, who won? A Chadette. So the world is waking up, and people are trying to vote. The whole thing is that the left is trying to seize power by letting in as many immigrants as they can in the countries that haven't voted Chads yet. I hope the UK can turn it around. They're in a lot of trouble, and by the day, more votes are coming in that are not going to vote for the next Chad.
Apparently, Ireland is having a big backlash now with people in the streets. I've had enough of this. We need Irish culture. What? It's not racist or bad to be our culture, just like every other culture around the world, deserves to be maintained and sustained and still be a thing. I want to go to Ireland and drink a goddamn Guinness and see a fucking jig,
Right.
and see a little river dance. I don't want to go and see, if I want to go and see Muslim culture, I'll go to Egypt. Nothing wrong with Muslim culture. It's great. I'm glad you guys have your culture. But you don't want to go to Ireland and see nothing but someone else. You want to go for the beer and the jig.
Right. That's the whole thing that's differentiated them. United States is a little bit of a melting pot, so it doesn't exist as much. But here it's English and patriotism, right? But all the other places, there is the cultures, and you want to keep those, and they're losing them quickly. It's going to come to a point. It's why would me as American want to go to Europe if they don't have that culture? I'm going to Italy.
Bro,
for
there
the
is
Italian
American
culture,
culture. And this is something that I think people need to wake up to. And I'm not saying, it's the superior culture, it's the best culture, no, but there is a culture. Baseball, apple pies,
Football.
Thanksgiving, football, we
Super Bowl.
speak English, we drive cars, we eat fast food. Not all of it's good, but there is American culture. And just like your culture from some faraway place deserves to be maintained and continued on, ours does too. And by the way, if you want to come to America and you want to sit next to me at the football game and watch baseball with me and eat some hot dogs and drink some beers, dude, I'll embrace you. I don't care what skin color you have. But if you come here and your allegiance is still with your country from back home and you just spend most of your time talking shit about America, what are you even doing here? Honestly.
Right. Exactly.
What are we doing?
That's the biggest point that I think people need to get. The other thing, last thing before we hop off here, in Florida, I just saw that they banned driver's license. All driver's license will happen in English only, both written and verbal. And I'm like, oh, that's good. But then I pause and I'm like, wait a second. All these other states, 49 states now, literally have American driver's license, verbal and written tests that occur in multiple other languages besides English, Spanish, and the list goes on. That to me was an awakening. I didn't realize that was really a thing. That's crazy to me. How do we have driver's license here that aren't in English, yet all of our signs are in English? This is part of the reason why a lot of CDL license, the 18-wheeler truck license, are getting revoked, because not only is it illegals, it's even for the illegal citizens, they can't read the American signs, and it's causing crashes, driving the wrong way, whatever it is. I can't believe that Florida was the first to make this move. I was shocked that 50 out of 50 states have driver's license tests that aren't in English. That's crazy.
That really is crazy. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say you must learn English before, becoming a citizen or green card holder. But I think it should be an aspirational thing.
If you want
you're
to drive.
You got to at least be working towards that, right? I'm taking classes. I'm trying to learn English. It's taken me a couple of years because, you guys know, I have a place in Mexico, and I do want to move there at some point to not pay these ridiculous taxes, and I, spend $200 every other day at Costco, feed my family. But that's another story. But if I go there, I'll at least make an effort to learn Spanish. And I'm not going to become a Mexican person. I'll still always be American. But I will support your culture and your way of life, and I'll contribute, and I'll, buy a lot of tacos. So I'll be a job creator. So anyway, we've gotten far afield, but I do
Before
wanna
we
see
hop
how-
off here, Fat Sammy's in the house, says hi all. That means Pulse Chain must be up, so I'm taking a look at Pulse Chain here. Pulse is up 3.4%, PLSX up 2%, Ink up 2.7%, and Hex up 3%. That pushed PTGC back up to dropping that 0, and has pushed Surf Token up 5%. Isn't reflexivity and liquidity bonding a hell of a drug? I mean, Pulse Chain is still near its all-time lows. If it can give us any kind of momentum, and then we get some good marketing deals, Bullshot does 100x, Surf Token is going to absolutely melt faces and go to 10 million market cap and beyond in a blink of an eye. So I don't know. That's just my alpha. That's just my thoughts. Do what you want with that. I don't know if you like 100x's, guys, but that's one that I would
No, I hate making money. Hate making money. That's why I'm still here in crypto. I'm masochistic, and I just love losing it. But no, it's first of all good to see Fat Sammy. I know he's been out there supporting Pulse Chain, doing his thing. At some point, Pulse Chain has to find the bottom or reverse, doesn't it?
My God, it would be nice.
Like, it's still an active chain. It's not like, a meme that there was 5 people in the community and they left and so it's going to 0. Like, there's builders. There's a really rich guy named Richard Hart who's still supporting it and building stuff. He just deployed a new product. Like, there's still, there are a lot of people who are salty too, but it's like, it's not going to 0. And so because it's not going to 0, that means eventually it will reverse. Logically, right? I'm just working on logic, folks.
And I think it gets the support from Ethereum price, but also as Ethereum goes up, Richard Hart gets more active. He gets euphoric just like everybody else, and then he gets more stuff done behind the scenes when you think that there's a broader crypto market trend reversal, because he understands it's really hard to have your asset, your network, your coin run in the face of market determination of down and to the right. You need help from the market of up and to the right, and then you flip your switches and try to outperform all the rest of the up and to the rights.
I mean, yeah, you'd think that after like 10 years in crypto, he would know this, and we all know it. And then the only thing we're banking on is him actually following through on that assumption and deploying that capital.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you gotta do it, bro. There's a lot of believers who held on despite everything, so you gotta deploy at least like 50 mil there, Richard Hart, and pump this thing 100 times. So let's see what happens with Pulse Chain. Happy to see Pulse Bitcoin doing well, up 800% over against PLS. So yeah, there's still gems over on Pulse Chain, and honestly, the reason I like Pulse Chain, as like kind of an upstart chain and low cap, etc., is it's not like a Solana ecosystem where it's like, okay, everyone just scam everyone, whoever is the fastest scammer wins. That's Solana for you guys. Like, that's literally what it is. Pulse Chain is like, let's build something cool. Let's build some DeFi stuff. Let's try to make everybody win together. It might not work every time, and always gonna be losers in trading, but it's not the Solana ethos of whoever has the fastest, hands in the West is going to win $3 in the scam, the scam party.
And Fat Sammy agrees with us, says we get the magic carpet ride for PLS when ETH goes up. I do agree with that sentiment. We saw that historically when Ethereum went to 4,800. We saw PTGC, which we got in at 1 to 3 million, go to $450 million market cap due to liquidity bonding, token economics, and of course, riding on the back of Ethereum. So if we believe Ethereum is going to 10 grand, if you own Ethereum, congratulations, you're going to outperform Bitcoin. If you own Bitminer or SBET, congratulations, you're going to outperform Ethereum. And if you own Pulse Chain or maybe PTGC or Surf, you probably outperform them all. That's the network effect that I think is going to happen. I don't say that your whole portfolio needs to be in the smallest of the assets, but you probably want to own all of them and then see if that projection comes true.
I'll leave you guys with this before we jump off. I'm officially out of the Solana game. I just realized. I didn't have a lot of Sol tokens, but I sold them all yesterday to pay a credit card bill. That's where we're at, folks. That's where we're at in the cycle. I've had to offload investments to pay for stuff, sadly, which I hate to do. But I was looking across my investments, right? I got some low caps that I'm just not willing to get rid of, like a Mellow, for example, or a Kai. Like, held those forever. It's just those are moon or dust. Those are, $100,000 market caps, right? And then I got like BNB, and I got ETH and Bitcoin, which I'm never going to touch. So I like Bitcoin. I like ETH better than Solana. I like BNB better than Solana. So I had to sell the Solana. So I'm out of the Solana game, guys. Let's see. Who knows? Maybe we'll get back into it at some point. But if the entire chain is just relying on pump fun to sustain itself, how is that long term really going to work?
And before we head out and see you on the beach, Bitcoin above $73,000 now, and Ethereum above $2,250. Paradise pump underway. Let's take out these overhead levels. Now again, you are near overbought on Bitcoin and ETH, so don't expect God candles here. There will be chop, but a grind higher in the face of this 2-week gray period is what you would like to see as the market continues to price in a good victory versus more war.
No more war. No more war. Let's hope for that. Hope for peace. No one's pricing in the possibility of peace. It seems, at least on crypto Twitter, everyone seems so bearish still. But I think it's all going to work out, folks. We're staying ultra positive as we do here in Crypto Paradise. Got to jump off for the day. Got to jump off the week. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the beach.